You're watching Adam the Bull on the BetRivers Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by BetRivers. If you're not using the BetRivers app, you're missing out from baseball, the World Series, basketball starting tonight, tennis, football. We've got you covered. Check out the BetRivers app today. I'll have a three-leg same-game parlay for the Browns and Ravens this Sunday. I'll have that out for you probably Friday or Saturday, so you can check it out and win some cash at BetRivers. Coming up later, the Cavs are about to start their season. Are you excited about it? We'll get to that in a little bit, but let's begin with the Browns. Some news today coming out of Browns camp, some official transactions. The Browns have officially placed Deshaun Watson on injured reserve due to the torn Achilles tendon. We talked about that on Sunday. He is out for the year. They have signed Bailey Zappi, who was the Chiefs' third quarterback. He was on their practice squad. Browns signed him off their practice squad to their active roster. You can't take a guy from a practice squad and put him on your practice squad. But you can take him from practice squad, put him on your roster, which is what they did with Bailey Zappi. So if DTR, and we'll get into that, is ready to play this week, he'll be the third quarterback, the emergency third quarterback. If DTR is unavailable to play today, well, then Bailey Zappi is going to be your active backup quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see there. Some other moves, nothing exciting here, but former draft pick linebacker Tony Fields has been waived off injured reserve. He's been in the Browns linebacking group for a number of years now. They also added running back Gary Brightwell to the practice squad and released tackle Sebastian Gutierrez from the practice squad. Now the Browns have to decide, as we head into game number 8 against the Ravens, who are they going to start at quarterback? And that's assuming DTR is healthy. He took some monster hits this past Sunday, and he was dealing with a hand injury that he was having looked at. So we'll see if he's even physically able to play. Mary Kay Cabot was on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today, and I actually thought she had a good point. I've been saying DTR should play. I know a lot of people want DTR to play. First of all, at this point, the season's over. And don't give me this. I've already had 3 people say to me, well, you thought it was over with Joe Flacco. They had a winning record last year when when Deshaun Watson got hurt, the Browns had a winning record. When Joe Flacco became the quarterback, the Browns had a winning record. They're 1-6. At minimum, the Browns would have to go 9-1 to make the playoffs. Does anybody on earth think that this Browns team with Jameis Winston is going 9-1? And that might not even be enough. You might have to go 10-0. I think 9-1 could get you there, but they're not going to go 9-1. Come on. That's crazy. So the season's over. DTR played a little bit last year. Obviously, he was put into an incredibly tough spot last week. I still don't understand why Kevin Stefanski, why no one in the coaching staff as of Friday had told DTR that he was going to be the backup quarterback this week. It wasn't like an injury situation where there was, hey, we can't tell, be ready. You might be the backup quarterback because this guy may or may not be able to go. No, for whatever reason, the Browns decided to make DTR the backup and make Jameis the third string. Maybe it had to do with fans clamoring for Jameis to play. Maybe it had to do with they wanted to use DTR as part of the game plan somehow. I don't know what the reason was. But as of Friday, DTR did not know he was going to be the backup quarterback. The Browns didn't just make this decision Sunday morning for no reason. It's been something they had been thinking about at least a week. I had somebody text me on Friday afternoon that said to me, hey, keep an eye out. I think DTR is going to be the backup this week instead of Jameis. So if this person that told me this knew it, that means it had already been discussed. Why is the guy who might be the backup quarterback being left in the dark about it? I mean, and we saw what happened last year when DTR got thrown in there against Baltimore. Kevin Stefanski has handled that so poorly. And this is just another example of where it seems like communication is terrible within the organization. So, but let's say that DTR is physically able to go. If he is, I think he should play. Now, Mary Kay Cabot suggested today that they should play Jameis against Baltimore. Give DTR, not throw him in against Baltimore for his first start of the year like they did last year. Let him have a week where he's getting a good amount of reps, 2 weeks. Let Jameis start this week, especially because he's a little physically worn down. And then have DTR start the following week when the Browns play the Chargers. Now, you could argue if you're going to do that, well, there's a bye week after that. Maybe you wait until you play New Orleans. I don't know. I think it's a fair point that Mary Kay brings up. If the Browns decided to play Jameis this week and then go to DTR the following week, I'm fine with that. I would still, in the end, just turn it over to DTR. When he made his first start against Baltimore last year, he was not taking all the first-team reps. He didn't know he was going to be the starter because Deshaun Watson was supposedly going to play, and then he couldn't. But DTR got some time playing last week, and he'll have the whole week to practice. Now, if he's unable to practice because of this hand injury that he had, then yes, I would not play him this week. But the reality of the situation is that for the first time since the Browns drafted Baker Mayfield in 2018, we're going to spend November, December, January, February, March, and April talking about who the Browns are going to draft at quarterback, or are they going to go after a veteran? This conversation's been off the radar. The Deshaun Watson thing kind of came out of nowhere. Yes, some of us thought it was time to move on from Baker, but you really thought it was going to be another year. Like, let's give him one more year, see what he's got. And then the Watson thing popped up. You knew he was going to be traded, but it wasn't a huge talking point. We certainly weren't talking about drafting a quarterback. We haven't, when I moved here in 2011, we were talking about the Browns drafting a quarterback almost every year until Baker. And then for a few years, we didn't, for a number of years, we haven't talked about the Browns drafting a quarterback regularly since 2018. So we got to jump back into that mindset again, and that's going to be happening soon. Soon enough, the games are not going to matter. And the reality is, and I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, the Browns are better off losing right now. And the players are not going to lay down. The coaches don't want to lose. I get it. I'm not saying they should lose on purpose. But the more games the Browns lose, the better. They've got to find a quarterback. This situation is now a dumpster fire. Despite my trolling about Baker yesterday, it looks even worse because Baker's playing well for Tampa Bay. I don't understand how people don't understand. I guess it's because I really don't troll much I really don't troll at all on Twitter. But people go crazy when I tweet about Baker. It's funny. I never hear from those same people when I give him compliments, but they get so worked up. The Baker bros, they're still worked up about it. Anyway, I'll leave Baker alone now. I'm done tweeting about him. I had to send out one more this afternoon, though. And of course, everybody's getting fired up again. But now you're looking for the quarterback, and they've got to get it right. So the only way to turn around this mess, and a mess it is, the Deshaun Watson trade and signing is one of, if not the worst transaction or transactions in the history of sports. Mary Kay Cabot said today, yeah, he's probably played his last step, which we've all kind of been saying, but she's been, she's defended Watson as much as anybody. She's given him the benefit of the doubt more than most in the media. And even she's like, yeah, but they have to get a quarterback. Even if you're in the small minority of people that think Watson should be given yet another chance, he's probably not going to be ready for the start of the season. You have to have another starting quarterback ready to go at the very least, even if you do want to stick with Watson on some level. So the Browns, the only way to turn around this mess in a hurry is to get it right at quarterback. That's unlikely to come from a veteran. Not impossible, but unlikely. It's more likely to come from the draft, where the Browns have failed miserably. And I understand if you do not have faith in Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski and Jimmy Haslam or Paul DePodesta, or whoever you want to throw in there, having no faith in them getting it right is fair. If you assume they're going to get it wrong, then, well, what's the point? And they might as well do nothing, because if everything they do is wrong, then the team's got no chance. Will Andrew Berry make that pick? Right now, I would vote for no, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. I do think either Andrew Berry or Kevin Stefanski are likely to be fired. One, maybe both, even though they both just signed extensions. I don't know that anybody knows how many years it was for. I'm sure they know. But so in the end, I would play the young quarterback, see if there's any chance that DTR is the quarterback of the future, as unlikely as that is. There's no reason not to try to find out. And then they'll probably lose a lot of games. I mean, if DTR plays the rest of the season, they'll probably finish with 3 or 4 wins at best. The toughest part of the schedule is still ahead of them. I mean, I think New Orleans is the only team they have left. Oh, no. New Orleans, Cincinnati, and Miami are the only 3 teams that are currently under 500 remaining on the Browns schedule. And New Orleans and Cincinnati are on the road, and I think it's safe to say the Bengals won't finish under 500. And Miami's bad, but, they'll have Tua back. Now, maybe he's gone again, but he's coming back somewhat soon. He certainly, if he stays healthy the rest of the season, will be back by the time the Browns play him. So they'll be, so there's no, outside of the New Orleans game, sorry to Max, one of my producers who's a big Saints fan. I mean, are the Browns going to be, I don't even know if the Browns would be favored at New Orleans, because it's a road game. There's no other game they'll be favored in as of right now. I don't know what the Ravens' motivation is going to be in Week 18. Is Tua healthy in Week 17? Denver's 4-3. I'm not really buying into them. Who knows? But, the Browns are, if you go to BetRivers right now, as of this moment, and I'll look at it again, the Browns are an 8.5-point underdog at home. Over under 44.5. Browns are plus 380 on the money line to win. They are, let's see, who's a bigger underdog this week? The Titans getting 11 in Detroit. And the Raiders getting 10 at home against Kansas City. So the Browns are the 3rd biggest dog. And, one of the 3, Tennessee, is on the road. So to be an 8.5-point dog at home, the only worse home dog is the Raiders, who are playing the Chiefs. And the Raiders weren't supposed to be good this year. The Browns were. This season's been an epic disaster. And it seems like for the last, half a decade, or even longer, really, even with the brief moment you had with Brian Hoyer there, when the Browns have had expectations, they have fallen on their face every time. When they haven't, there's been some years where they've had success. 2020, 2023. But the Browns just can't handle prosperity. And once again, this long stretch of being unable to reach the playoffs in consecutive seasons will continue. The last time the Browns went to the playoffs in back-to-back years was the 1988 and 1989 seasons. And last year they got to the playoffs for just the 4th time since the 1989 season, and they will not follow it up. In fact, the Browns haven't even had back-to-back records over 500 since those same 2 years. Over 500 seasons for the Browns since 89. 11-5 in 94 made the playoffs. 9-7, 2002 made the playoffs. 10-6, 2007, and of course did not make the playoffs. 11-5 in 2020. 11-6 in 2023. That's it. And it will be yet another year since, again, 1989, which was the last time the Browns won their division. I mean, it's almost impossible to believe. If you were born in 1990 or later, which a lot of you have probably, you've never seen the Browns even win their division, not once, which is mind-blowing. The NBA season gets going tonight. 2 games on the docket, Knicks, Celtics, and Timberwolves, Lakers. But for the Cavs and for Cavs fans to see this team, I was going to say this new team, but there's no new players. It's just a new coach. The Cavs will start the season tomorrow playing the Toronto Raptors. Let's see what the spread is in this game for the Cavs opener. Cavs are in Toronto tomorrow, 7:30 start. The Cavs are a 6-point favorite on the road. I don't think the Raptors are a very good team. So, and, G. Bush was saying to me today, he's back in on Darius Garland. And, if you were someone like a lot of us that wanted to see this team shake things up in the offseason, it didn't happen. The Cavs basically decided that J.B. Bickerstaff was to blame for why they failed in the playoffs, why they, didn't get it done, were unable to compete with the top teams. And now they're thinking, okay, the new coach is going to turn it around. He's going to find a way to use these 4 guys that don't fit perfectly together. Cavs home openers Friday night, also a 7:30 start. They'll play the Pistons. Their first interesting opponent is next week, next Monday, the 28th. They're playing in the Garden against the Knicks on Monday, and then LeBron, Bronny, and the Lakers come to town here a week from tomorrow. They have a back-to-back with Milwaukee in a couple of weeks, early November. They're playing 2 at Milwaukee and then home for Milwaukee but it's actually not back-to-back days. It's 2 out of 3 days. But so that's what's coming up. First national TV game for the Cavs is on November 1st when they play Orlando. It's hard to get too excited about the start of the NBA season for me after being so invested in the great season and playoff run that the Guardians had. And that just kind of ended with a thud. In a way, perfect timing for the Cavs season to start, but it's really hard to get too motivated, at least for me, for regular season basketball following a baseball season like that. And eventually you will, and you're going to watch the games, and I'll watch the games, but it's hard to get too excited about it because that the regular season is pretty much meaningless. At least in baseball, it's hard to make the playoffs. See, that's the difference. Some people would argue, well, it's 162 games. Why do they matter? Well, you got to win a lot of them to make the playoffs. You don't. In the NBA, more than 2/3 of the teams make it. In Major League Baseball, it's less than half. That makes the regular season way more valuable in baseball than in the NBA. And we'll do some stuff later in the week, next week, about the Guardians offseason plan. For now, thanks to Shane and Max for producing. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. Make sure you're using the BetRivers app for all your gambling needs. I'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by BetRivers. See you, everybody.